Tyler, today's the day. It is Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Men Tell No Tales Day. It comes out tonight. This is the final topic of our Pirates of the Caribbean special podcast, the Podcast Now Live, episode 45. We've talked about a lot of things. We've done ranking the movies. We have set our best characters. We've talked about the music. And we have talked about our favorite moments. And, you know, we get a lot of comments, which we are really appreciative of, that you guys ask us things and we have legitimate conversations in the comment sections. We actually had hard times finding questions that we didn't answer, because that's just like we kind of make that promise to you that we respond to almost every single one of your comments as long as it is nice and makes sense. So we've gotten a couple of them that have slipped through the cracks, or specifically has been like requested for a podcast situation. So we have a couple we're just going to run through. The first one is kind of just a general discussion that, and we're not going to spend too much time on any individual thing. We'll kind of roll through them. Tyler, multiple people, and we'll say this right now before like we actually say our opinions, but multiple people have asked us to talk about the Pirates of the Caribbean ride. So I was thinking maybe we would just talk about maybe our experiences on the ride. We've both been on the ride before. Also, though, go check out SFZ's channel. He's the YouTuber who we did a collaboration video, multiple with. He has a video specifically talking about the Pirates of the Caribbean ride. He did a really good job on it. So if you want to know more detailed about the ride, definitely go check out his channel. But Tyler, we've both been on the ride. What do you think? Not even really how it connects. People have talked about that before, but what did you think of the ride, and when did you go on it?
I went on it a couple years ago. I went on it a couple times. It's not like a boring ride, but it's an interesting ride to be on. There's always a pretty long line.
Mm-hmm.
Just about always. I liked it. I thought it was nice. I know that they update it every once in a while.
Right. Yep.
I think when I went on it, I think that they had, but I don't know if it was mist or whatever, but you know, with Davy Jones' face on it, and I think he said something.
Yeah, it was Davy Jones for me.
So it's nice that they keep updating it and adding stuff from the movie to the ride, and adding stuff from the ride to the movie.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I went on it when I went to Disney when I was 9 years old and 19, I think. Like those two, it was 10 years apart. And when I went on it when I was 9, I remember that was right after. It was between 2 and 3. So it was with Davy Jones. I remember the mist. I know that they've updated that to where it's Blackbeard and Davy Jones. They alternate it, which is actually cool, like having Blackbeard be the guy to introduce you to the ride too. So, but I remember Davy Jones. I loved the ride. I wasn't like a massive fan. I thought it was cool, like you said, there was a long line. Now, I went 2 years ago, almost 2 years in August. I went to Disney, and the ride was closed for repairs. They were like updating it, and it was closed for like 3 months. And we went in the middle of that repair. Now, that is obviously when I'm a super big Pirates fan, so I really wanted to go on it the last time I went. I've seen all these, like the interviews of Johhny Depp and all them when they opened up in Shanghai and they went on the ride there in their Disney World, and they said like it's the best Pirates of the Caribbean ride like out there. That's like I'd like to. I haven't done it yet. I meant to do. I want to watch, like, you know, there's always videos on YouTube of people going on amusement rides. In fact, there's whole YouTube channels on that. I definitely want to see that ride. So I mean, those are just our general impressions of it. It's a good ride. I think it's personally one of my more favorite rides in Disney, but that's just because I like pirates. Tyler, Andrew Watson, who is a very smart community member, a big Pirates fan, he's asked us multiple things. We've talked to him before, and he asked us a question a while ago that we saved specifically for this. And he says, what do you think On Stranger Tides would have been like if it was directed by Gore Verbinski? Now, Pirates 4 was not directed by Gore. He directed 1 through 3, and then he stepped aside, and it was a new director for 4. So, what do you think it would have been like if it was directed by him? And do you think the original plans for 5 and 6... No, and what do you think? And what do you think the original plans were for 5 and 6 when they were making On Stranger Tides? So, let's take that half at a time. Now, like you said, there's no way to actually tell, but judging from like the kind of things he did in 1 through 3, What do you think? Do you think and you think something would have been different in 4? I mean, this is
Uh,
the director, so he has a pretty big hand in all this stuff.
well, with Gore, there'd probably be quite a bit of climate change talk and Man Bear Pig. It is Al Gore, right?
I think so. Yep.
Um, yeah. So yeah, Man Bear Pig is the villain, probably fighting climate change, and Jack creating the internet
With the
is
yeah the internet.
probably obviously. Yeah, it's hard to know. I feel like 4 was always going to be, not always, but I feel like after Davy Jones, they're probably like, well, what can we do next? Well, Blackbeard's a big pirate name, so we should probably do something that's familiar to people who like know pirates, and just like because it's familiar, people will likely come back to see like our take on Blackbeard. So I feel like after 3, like Blackbeard definitely was what they were gonna do anyways. Now, how it would have been, how they would have went about it, probably would have been a lot different. Obviously, the Fountain of Youth would have been in the movie, um, so it would have been similar. But I don't think the zombies. I don't. Maybe the mermaids, but a lot of it would have been a lot different.
Do you think he would have tried
I,
to bring back more of the supporting
well,
characters?
yeah, but see, here's the other thing that we always forget about. The Black Pearl, wasn't it destroyed due to a big storm
Yeah, yeah.
in real
They lost,
life?
yeah.
So they couldn't even use the ship. So I think that changed a lot of the movie, also because that's why Jack basically was with the enemy the whole movie.
Yeah.
If there was the Black Pearl, they wouldn't even be in the situation of the pearl's gone and all this other stuff. Barbossa probably wouldn't. He might have, but I doubt it. Really, probably wouldn't have lost his leg because the Black Pearl. That whole thing wouldn't have happened.
Right.
So a lot of it already, just because of that fact, would have been different, and then the fact that it's a different person behind the helm. Obviously, like ideas are change, and some
Right.
people see what Pirates is differently.
Yeah, and even how you've said in the
But
past
yeah,
too of like how it's shot very differently in a bad way.
it's shot differently, not
And
in a
that's
good way.
right.
It's shot like 2 HD almost. Not, I don't mean it like that. It, I don't know how to explain it.
It definitely
It
has a
just
different
doesn't.
like you know
It's
what
a different film grain. It's just a different
yeah.
feel than the other Pirates
It
movies.
feel and we've said
Pirates
it
5.
and we've said it before. If and I've been thinking about it like the last 2 days. A lot of it feels it feels smaller. Like literally the sets
Yeah.
they're on and the scenes. They're in close. The final battle is in this Fountain of Youth, very in tight area. The Barbossa and Jack scenes very small. Even the whole when they're stealing from the Spanish, the Fountain of Youth, it looks like the set is like 30 feet. You know what I mean? It's very small in
Yeah.
nature. Whereas I feel like 3, his vision for like 1, 2, and 3, but especially 2 and 3 is like bigger. Like let's go big. So I feel like it just wouldn't look as small and enclosed as it would if it was directed by him.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. It would have been similar elements, but see, like if we had like Nick or like let's pretend the end.
He's dead.
If we had like say we asked like our viewers, if we said give us a story idea, like give us a villain or whatever, and just give us a very like 1 sentence idea to make a movie, and then you had to make your version based on what they said, and I had to make mine.
Yeah.
They'd naturally be totally different ideas.
Right.
So it's really hard to know how exactly it would have been different. It definitely would have been a lot different, but there would have still been a lot of, not a lot of, but there still would have been similarities in it.
Right. So the second part of the question, and again, it's hard to predict, especially I think even more so with this one, but there are a couple hints, especially at the after credit scene of 4, that we could answer. What do you think the original plans for 5 and 6 were when they were making On Stranger Tides, but then decided to start over with 5 after the reception? So, That's a good question. That's a really good question because it was very clear, especially back in the day, and John Swindle says it a lot too in the comments, and it was very well known. Johnny Depp said it multiple times that they were going to film Pirates 4, 5, 6. It was going to be another trilogy. And they got delayed several times and slowed down. Now, obviously, the reception of 4 didn't help it either, but it seems that 4 did kind of have a direction it was going to go at the end, right, with Angelica and the voodoo doll. They had to have at least thought that that could have been a possibility to play with, to bring her back in future movies, at least to get her back.
Yeah, actually, we could tie that in with Ketja's. I probably said that wrong. I'm sorry, Ketja. Do you think Angelica will be mentioned in Pirates 5? So for your person's question, I think that they thought. I don't think that they foresaw Pirates 4 doing as bad, being received as poorly as it was.
Yeah.
It made the most money out of all of them, but that's because the franchise became so big.
Yeah.
By that time, through DVD and all that stuff, and being on TV. So I think they didn't really foresee it being that bad, and so they did plan on 5 having to do with having Angelica as the supporting female.
Right.
But what it would have been about, I have no idea. I don't know if maybe she would have been the villain. In fact, I think she actually might have been the villain, because remember Johnny Depp, they asked, they asked about, because Pirates 5's villain originally was going to be a female.
A female, yeah.
And there was a reason he gave as to why Johnny Depp turned it down, and I forgot the reason.
Well, that whole article, that's a whole. And we can actually talk about that with one of another of your questions about Johnny Depp himself. I really don't like that article or that writer in terms of what they're talking about. But that's I didn't actually put 2 and 2 together. That female villain could very well have been Angelica.
It could have been Angelica. And it's not because Johnny Depp was being sexist.
No, definitely. Yeah.
There was it wasn't that. Yeah.
No.
But I forgot what the statement was, but it had to do with
Dark Shadows.
Yes, it was Dark Shadows. It was another movie that he just did.
Yeah.
And it was a female lead, or a female villain. So he didn't want it to be too similar, and he honestly he was right with that choice.
Yeah. Well, he said he didn't think it would work.
He didn't think it would work, and it wouldn't work. Like if they say in 6 is a female villain, unless it was a female villain to the not power level, but villain power, like just the way that the presence of Hela from Thor 3.
Right.
Now she will be a very good villain. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Definitely.
Arguably the best villain for a Marvel movie.
Right.
Where Angelica, nobody liked.
Mm-hmm.
She's nothing. So it wouldn't work. And I think now, and I put it together just now myself. I think that they must have been setting her up to be the villain.
Yeah.
And it probably just all fell through. And they're like, yeah, you know what? We're gonna scrap all this and just move on. So to answer Ketja's
do we think he's gonna get? She's gonna get
that she'll be mentioned?
I say no.
I don't think she'll be mentioned whatsoever.
Yeah.
In fact, I think very, very little will be mentioned from 4. If anything, very little will be mentioned.
Right.
Yeah. Maybe stuff from 2 and 3 might be mentioned, but almost nothing.
I mean, and if you think about there was more reason. So in 4, the only mention you really get of 3 or 2 or 1 in 4 was when Angelica told Zach. When Angelica told Zach.
Angelica told Zach?
When Angelica told Zach.
Why did you just say it again? What the hell? I mean, what? What are you doing? Was she watching the Injustice videos?
No, I'm not watching anything. I don't know why. When Angelica told Jack, see, I was gonna say it again. When Angelica told Jack, maybe you don't believe in the supernatural, and Jack said, I've seen a thing or two. That was the only reference we got of like Davy Jones or any supernatural entity, which was
Right.
it was kind of lame even to give that much disrespect to not even I mean, I understand they're doing their own thing and it's for four, but I honestly see a very similar thing, if even in 5. Maybe Henry's talking to Jack, and Jack mentions
Right. That's
in
exactly
one
how I see it
sentence.
too.
Yeah, in one
Yep.
sentence, like that specific thing. And I don't
Yeah.
think Angelica will be. I don't think you'll hear that name. I don't think you'll hear her name at all.
No. Not
Maybe the
nothing about
events
her
of
will be mentioned.
Blackbeard, because maybe you have to, because the Queen Anne's Revenge is in it, right? Barbossa, that's his ship. So you may have to mention at some point something, but you don't have to mention her name. So yeah, to answer that question,
Right.
I personally think no.
No. Oh, and the other half of her question was basically like, do you think that they'll do you think that they'll just like drop the extra credit scene? So, and again, yes, they totally dropped anything that has to do with it. Jack, like in the middle of the movie, all of a sudden won't stop walking, and they'll feel like he's getting stabbed, like that from the voodoo doll.
Oh, like
All
if
of
the
that whole
after credit
voodoo
scene's going
stuff.
to connect?
Yeah, the after credit scenes, if that's still part of it, or if
Right.
they're just gonna drop that.
I think, yeah, right.
Anything about her, like basically anything from 4, they dropped, except for what they can't drop, like the Queen Anne's Revenge,
Yeah. His leg.
Barbossa's leg,
Yep.
like basically
And the pearl in the
that's
bottle.
really it.
Yeah, and
The pearl in the bottle. Maybe if we see Jack with a shirt off, he'll have the trident carving that Blackbeard put in him.
Yep.
That's all that they can. That's
Yeah,
it.
definitely.
Everything else,
Yeah, I mean,
nope.
right, and like we just said, I think that the voodoo doll and Angelica at the end of 4, I think, was to set up her to be brought back in 5, maybe through some, because like we've said before with Blackbeard, they showed that he's into voodoo, but he never like, and you know, those were rumors of him too, is he's really into that kind of stuff, and that's what makes him very scary. But they didn't do anything with it, so maybe their plan was to make Angelica, because like you said, she's nothing, she's just a normal human. Maybe their plan was to make her into that. But now that that is failed and like their original plan is not happening, that after credit scene means nothing, which is another reason why this after credit scene I think is actually kind of cool, and I'm excited for it, because you know, this one actually has meaning. Fours especially now, Fours has literally zero meaning whatsoever because it's just been dropped.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, like watching it again, like watching 1s or 3. 1 is Jack the Monkey becoming like immortal again, and 3 is the Will and Elizabeth and Henry one, which is really cool that they've connected it. But 2's is the dog, and 4 literally is pointless. So like they're 2 and 2 right now.
Joseph Lopez asks, do you think Pintel and Righetti will return in future movies? I hope
so.
that they do. I actually think if there's more movies, which there will be, I do actually think that they'll be back. I don't think they'll be in this movie. From what we've seen, they're not.
Right.
And what we know from like IMDb, like they're not.
Yeah.
But as you said, what is the midget character?
I think it's Marty, but let's check. Let me check.
So he's in it, right? He's in it. The parrot and that guy's not in it.
Right.
So some are in it and some aren't. Oh, the I don't remember. I don't know if you know their names. I don't. The 2 Navy guys that were in Black Pearl, and then they end up becoming pirates at the end of At World's End.
Right.
They're in the movie.
Oh, they are.
Yeah, they're in the movie.
Oh, that's awesome.
Remember, the character that wears the red outfit, and then there's the person that wears the green outfit. That's them.
Oh, that's awesome.
On Barbossa's ship. That's them.
That's so
with Barbossa.
Cool. See, they're cool.
So they're in it. So if they're in it,
it's
possible.
I mean, it's actually
too.
not impossible that they make an appearance, but I don't think it's the right time.
I don't think they will. Right? Yeah, I think they'll bring them back if they 100% greenlight 6, which I guarantee you they will. If they greenlight 6. Because Will be back, Elizabeth will be in it. Maybe even if she's only in it a little bit.
Right.
Essentially, it's going to be Pirates of the Caribbean cast from 1, 2, and 3, minus Barbossa, but add Karina and Henry. So I do think they'll be back. To
Yeah.
answer your question,
And I mean,
Joseph.
and it makes sense, right? Because we've talked about I think off camera we've talked about how, well, like we just said, so the black pearl's in a bottle, and from what we know of Blackbeard's, like the what Barbossa said, and it's a little confusing because they didn't really explain it much, and there's not much to go off of, but the ship got basically taken from them. It got turned against them. Barbossa escaped, but the crew of the Black Pearl is trapped on the Black Pearl in the bottle. That's proven by the monkey being there, and they only showed the
Right.
monkey in 4. But that does mean that anybody on that ship at that time is also still on the Pearl, which is going to be interesting. Like we said, interesting to see how they're going to explain that, because Marty, who is the midget, he's in 5. That's confirmed. He's on it. He was on the ship, but where's right? Like where are they? So
Yeah.
they'll have to now. Those two actors, they've wanted to be in Pirates 4 and 5. They've tweeted. They had like their personal whatever, like Twitter and all that stuff. They've said like they wanted to be in it, and it just didn't work. But they were closer to being in 5 from what they kind of said than 4. 4, it was pretty much told to them that they were not going to be in 4.
There was no Pearl, so
Right.
I mean that like I said, that messed up a lot of the movie.
Right. So I think it is like you said. I think if they make a 6, which they will, I think it's definitely they want to do it. Like that much is very clear. They want to be back, and I don't know why you wouldn't want to have them, because when we talked about our favorite characters, we didn't mention them, but they're great.
I didn't, but I should have, because I do like them a lot.
Yeah.
Like they are very, not comic relief, but they are. I actually really do like those two characters.
Yeah,
I wouldn't put them in my favorite characters, but they're I'd actually put them before Will and Elizabeth, honestly.
I may put.
I
I'd kind of do that too.
Like I would not. You can't talk about them separately. You have to talk about them together too.
Right. Definitely. All right. What's the last question, Tyler?
Larry the Mighty Eagle. We kind of discussed it, like me and him discussed it in the comment section, but I just want to hear what you had to say, and just, I'm asking it so that way viewers who might have not read his comment can then give their thoughts too. And Larry, you could back yourself up, just copy and paste essentially if you want what you wrote before. But anyways, essentially what he asks, I broke it down. Essentially what he asks is, does Johnny Depp's the scandal? Do you think that that's going to affect the box office numbers? And how can we be sure that Pirates 5 will be a grand success and bring Johnny Depp back to box office legend rather than a box office bomb? Now, what I said to him, because then he mentioned how, the last 3 movies that Johnny Depp were in, they didn't do very well. And but what I said to him was, and we actually got new information tonight, today, the day of our recording of this video.
Right.
So Johnny Depp is now part of Universal Pictures, The Dark Universe, which is not a movie, that's a cinematic universe that has to do with the new Mummy movie that's coming out. Johnny Depp's going to be playing the Invisible Man, and I believe he's going to be in the Frankenstein movie, which is actually going to be played by Javier
Bardem,
the guy who plays Salazar, who's going to play Frankenstein. So it's almost like what Marvel's doing with, they have separate movies and then they bring them in and they're all in one big movie. That's what they're doing. So Johnny Depp's part of this. So he'll be in his own movie along with kind of like cameos, kind of like how Marvel does that too, where they'll have, another hero from another movie in a standalone movie.
Right.
And then you'll have them all together. So Tom Cruise, Johnny Depp, Javier, the lady who plays the Mummy, and Russell Crowe. They're all in this new Universal Dark Universe, cinematic universe, basically. And the reason that I say that is that's very important, because clearly Universal Pictures has faith in Johnny Depp that the scandal, anything that has to do with Johnny Depp right now, like the scandal and all that stuff, will not affect anything. Otherwise, they wouldn't have brought him on. They could have got. There's so many other actors out there. They could have got pretty much anybody to fill the Invisible Man. But depending on how they do it, Often you don't even see his face the way he's usually portrayed. You don't even see his face. All you see is his clothing and stuff. Now it'll obviously be different because it's Johnny Depp. You're not going to hide him
Right.
because he's an attraction like for women. But still, there's so many other people they could have got. Ryan Reynolds, Chris Pratt. I mean, the list is endless. Um, so that's important. And the other thing is, so that's Universal. The other thing is, like I mentioned, is WB. He's in Fantastic Beasts. He's signed on for 5 movies. He's the
Mm-hmm.
main villain, but he's essentially the main character of at least the next movie.
Yeah.
He's the basically the lover of young Dumbledore, and so he's the main character for at least the next couple of Fantastic Beasts movies. Like I said, signed on for 5. So that's WB who has him sign on for that many movies. Universal Pictures has him sign on for that movies. Now he's back for Pirates 5 with Disney. He's signed on for 6. Doesn't mean that they're going to make 6. You listen to Thwaites, the kid who plays Henry Turner. They're going to be making up to 10, 6 through 10. So it's likely that if he signed on for that, Johnny Depp likely to sign on for that. Even if it isn't, I guess what I'm saying is you have 3 major movie studios that have Johnny Depp signed on for future movies, multiple movies. So that's the long answer to your question. No, I don't think that Johnny Depp's scandal or anything like that will affect the box office or anything like that because these studios simply would not cast him.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
Um,
go ahead.
and then I just wanted to say too that I'm not like grilling Larry because he could defend himself. Like he definitely. I mean, it's a good question. I'm sure people are wondering. Um, the other thing too, I wouldn't actually consider Johnny Depp a box office legend ever or at all, because really when you look at what he's made, the best and most successful movie he's been in is Pirates of the Caribbean. Obviously he has there's notable very good movies that he's been in. Edward Scissorhands. I'd consider Sleepy Hollow.
Yep.
Um,
Sweeney Todd.
there's another one. Yeah, Sweeney Todd. So there are a few. Oh, Black Mass, you like that one?
Yep. Black
I
Mass,
didn't
and
see that.
even
He hasn't been in many amazing
Public
or
Enemies.
even very good. What is it?
Public Enemies. That was good.
Public Enemies. He has not been in many amazing movies or even very good movies. A lot of just average, like, why did you even take that role
Right.
type of movie. And I'm not saying he's a strange person, but he usually plays strange roles. That's just what he does.
Yeah.
And if you're watching Johnny Depp, hi, but I
Hello.
doubt it. But but yeah, I mean, his most successful movies to date, at least, are the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. I guarantee you, Fantastic Beasts will, do much better.
Right.
It's just bigger. But yeah, so I don't actually even consider him. I don't know about you. I don't consider him a box office legend. But he definitely isn't a box office bomb. I know that.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
He's almost just like if you attach his name to something, usually it'll do probably better than what it would have done without him.
right.
But it doesn't make or break.
Well,
Because the characters are never like Jack Sparrow. That's the thing.
Definitely right. I mean, I think it's definitely funny, right? Because so say like in sports, how like a player gets kind of miscasted as like maybe like a savior of a sports team. And he really doesn't belong as the savior role, right? Maybe he's not the best player, but he's kind of thought upon as the best player. That's what Jack Sparrow. That's what Johnny Depp is he seems to have kind of been like typecasted as this box office legend, which is weird because, like you said, his most successful films making money is Pirates of the Caribbean. And I think that's not even because of Johnny Depp, it's because Jack Sparrow has become such an icon. And Jack Sparrow drives it. Johnny Depp obviously is Jack Sparrow, but Johnny Depp himself doesn't have like a whole lot, I think, attached to it. And I think what that did, what Sweeney Todd did, what Edward Scissorhands did, which is I think his most critically acclaimed role, right? He's never won an Oscar. at Black Mass, he did a very fantastic job as him, but he's never. I feel like he's gotten the. He's been typecasted somewhere down the line of being this guy that you put in a movie, you attach his name to it, and the movie needs to do absolutely fantastic. It cannot, like, it's just going to
Right.
do fantastic to begin with. And that's, like you said, that's just not. He's actually probably had more failure movies than good movies. More movies that have
Yeah.
done not good critically or commercially, especially commercially, as ones that have done well commercially. And I feel like it's caught up to him now where, like people hated his appearance in Fantastic Beasts, and it's like, do we really want him in that? I mean, he was in that movie for 30 seconds and he was fine. Like, I liked him in it.
I know.
So he's gotten this bad rap basically as this guy who, if you put in a movie, it's going to do fantastic. And I think that is because of Pirates of the Caribbean, which ironically has just continued to do well commercially. Pirates 4 did very, very well commercially, even though it was the worst one. So I think his scandal-wise, yeah, there have been some bad things that have come out about him, and you can't deny some of them, but I feel like he's moved on. I feel like he's moved on past that, and more importantly, like you said, I think you have to read into what these companies are doing more than anything. Like you said, these companies will not invest years and millions of dollars into Johnny Depp if they thought he was still what or even if he wasn't what they've said, which it could very well possibly be untrue, like a lot of the things. Some of the base things could be true, but a lot of like the outside part of that, for example, that article that like we both saw with the writer saying he turned it down. Now that writer definitely made it seem as if Johnny Depp was a sexist. He turned it down because it was a female villain. Well, there's several reasons. Firstly, if you read the whole article and you read all the quotes from that writer, he seems like a 5-year-old child that was hurt by the fact that he wrote a script that was turned down. Now, I don't know if he's ever been into Hollywood. We haven't, but we know stories. You can write 50 scripts and they could all be turned down. Failure is what happens in Hollywood all the time. You're going to get rejected more than you... Actors say that. They get rejected for everything. You hear no a ton of times. So this writer... You know what it is? It's Johnny Depp is an easy target right now. That's what it is. That's honestly what it is. How
That's what
ironic
it is,
it comes out right now that Johnny Depp did. And you know what's even funny about the article is the writer of that specific article writes, this just adds on to the like what's happened to Johnny Depp over the past little while. But what's funny about that is if the story's true, Johnny Depp did that back in 2011 before any of this stuff with Amber Heard. So like it doesn't even line up in the first place. They're trying to, it's just fake, it is fake news in a way. They're trying to construct a story, which is what media does all the time. But Johnny Depp is an easy punching bag now. I don't believe that story one bit. I feel like, yes, he did turn down a female lead, but that's because he's probably smart. And that doesn't mean it's just because of the female lead. What if the movie's story just sucked to begin with? You wouldn't want to do it, obviously. And Johnny Depp's only one of the people that he has to consult. Maybe Jerry Bruckheimer said no, too, but he didn't say that part. So, do the scandals matter, was the question. I don't think the scandals matter. I don't think people care. This views, if you watch Johnny Depp on the late night shows now, he's been on Ellen, he's been on Jimmy Kimmel, those videos get millions of views on YouTube, more than any other of the actors or actresses that go on those channels. You know what I mean? Like every day how they have a new cast. Johnny Depp does that, like attractive female people, or if a really big band of Taylor Swift or if Paramore or if like somebody big is on those videos, they obviously do well compared to smaller names. Johnny Depp does like 1.4 million in a video with Jimmy Kimmel where somebody else would do 200,000. So there's still interest in Johnny Depp. It's blatantly obvious, both fan-wise and company-wise. So do I think it's going to affect anything? No, I think, like you said, people have very short memories. I think everybody either forgot or didn't know it in the first place. I don't think it would make any difference whatsoever. I'm not defending some of the things he's done, but like I'm gonna defend him if I feel like it's fair to defend him, which I think most of this stuff definitely is.
Well, the thing that I always say, I've said it to him, but I said it to somebody else too. The thing that I say is, who is the president of the United States right now? Who's the person who, when there was a candidate, had a supposed or quote-unquote scandal that had to do with a woman, and Canada the president of the United States, and then that same person became the president of the United States? via a
Yeah.
vote. Now, we're not going to get into politics, but in other words, people don't care about that kind of stuff. Like, people don't care about celebrities' lives. The stupid women who read the magazines do. And if you take that as offense, sorry, but then you're stupid. Because like you go to any grocery store and you see all these magazines and it's like this person did this person did this, divorce, killing, assassin. I don't know. I'm just making stuff up. No,
Which
but
is what
there's
they do.
always like these like stupid scandals about divorce, kids,
Yep.
custody. Like like really nobody cares about that kind of stuff, except for the people who do. But there's like those are on the cover, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Those are like cover headline type things. But then like when you read into the magazine, like none of that stuff's even in there. It's all like
Yeah.
ads. So I guess what I'm saying is nobody cares about scandals. They really truly don't. Again, you look at who the president is and a scandal, and they try to take him down with it. Didn't work. People don't care. If they want to see Pirates of the Caribbean, they want to see it mainly because of Jack Sparrow.
Right.
They don't care who's playing Jack Sparrow because they say who plays Jack Sparrow, and then they have to like think usually. They're like, because the first thing they think of is, well, Jack Sparrow.
Right.
You know, like seriously,
Yeah,
like they
we
don't
take
know who
we take
plays.
for advantage that we know actors' names and stuff, but many people
Right.
don't know
No, a
anything
lot of
about
people
that.
have no idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, or some people don't even call Pirates of the Caribbean. They when they talk about it, they talk about Jack Sparrow.
Right.
So it's like they're going for that. They're not going for Johnny Depp.
Right.
So stuff like that, it really it doesn't matter. Now, unless he killed somebody and it was
Yeah.
on tape, and it's like then it was like not a scandal, but like a serious situation, like he's going to jail and all that stuff. Well, the movie probably wouldn't even be coming out.
Right.
Like that kind of stuff. That's bad.
Right.
But yeah, what happened with this? It's called Hollywood.
Yep.
And what they're doing with him, you're right. He's an easy target right now. And you know what? You really kind of compare him, ironically, because he portrayed him in like some kind of mini movie.
Yeah,
You
Funny
could
or
really
Die.
portray him as Donald Trump,
Yeah.
mainly because of this kind of stuff. And easy target, so let's just keep hitting him.
Yep.
Which that isn't the right thing to do, really,
Right.
for either one, unless you have definite evidence and all, and proof that he's this bad guy and all that stuff. But you know what? What are you going to do about it? Don't go see the movie.
Yep.
Don't go
Yeah.
see it.
Speak with your wallet.
Exactly. And you know what? People will speak with their wallet because it's going to make billions of dollars.
Yeah, right. Yeah. It's gonna. That's gonna be the best part. Yeah.
Just like at the voting booth,
Yep.
people spoke. That was the long answer again, but short answer is people don't care. They just don't. I'm not worried about it at all, not
Right.
one bit.
Yep. And then and as for him being a box office like darling, I think it's unfair to look to him to save movies. I think Lone Ranger made that mistake. I think Mordecai made that mistake. He can't do movies all by himself. We've talked about that repeatedly. As Jack Sparrow. Jack Sparrow can't even do a movie by himself. He needs help. So I think to look to Johnny Depp to be this savior in box office, he never has been. And so it's unfair, just like I said, in sports, professional sports. If a player gets this kind of heralded as this superstar, but he really isn't that, but everybody expects him to be. That's not the player's fault. That's the view on him's fault. And I think that's honestly the same thing with Johnny Depp. So that was a long thing. We talked about a lot of different stuff on this. That is the end of our Pirates of the Caribbean special of Podcast Now Live, episode 45. Now, like I said, this is a special podcast. We do this podcast every other week. So if you guys like the things we did here with being kind of all over the place and kind of going off, we do this every other week, all the time on the channel. So continue watching in the future. We're going to go back to normal. We normally just talk about random topics. But thank you guys for watching this entire podcast. It's been really fun to do. Make sure you check out all our other, this is it. Pirates comes out tonight, like we said. Go check out all the other videos, all our theories, all our trailer analysis, all our specials that we did for you guys with your guys' help. Go check out all of those. Enter the giveaway. Watch the Pirates videos that we do after the movie. Tyler, thank you for joining me on this Pirates special.
Thank you for joining me.
You're welcome. It was an honor. And we will see you guys for the future Pirates videos.